San Francisco had a really great music scene at the time. I was talking about this with David Emmergluck earlier. I mean, there were so many clubs, the music scene had moved out of the sort of North Beach area in San Francisco and moved to this, what they called the South of Market, Soma District, which was all these warehouses. And there were, 20 clubs down there. Bars, clubs, places to play. And I mean, we would get the weeklies every week, the 3 or 4 different free weeklies, and whatever the Sunday paper was. And we'd get our calendar and we'd mark down, open one up, okay, so-and-so's playing Monday, so-and-so's playing Thursday, open the next one up, so-and-so's also playing Monday, I gotta play Wednesday, I got rehearsal Tuesday. I mean, and you have your week filled. We were out with each other. I know the guys in my band because I was out with them every night. None of us were in bands together. But we were all out every night. Either there was someone I wanted to see play, there was a friend of mine playing, I was playing, or else I just had rehearsal and we'd meet up in a bar afterwards and we'd see who was playing, But there was such a vital music scene. And that was, literally 5 to 7 days a week. We were out there. Your calendar was full. This guy came to see us at one gig, he said his brother-in-law worked at EMI Records, and he wanted his brother-in-law to come see us. So his brother-in-law came up and saw. At this point, Counting Crows was really just me and Dave playing acoustically, because we had a band before that had never played live. We just recorded some. This guy came to see us and really dug us, and Dave and I had been talking about getting a bunch of our favorite guys that we'd played with or always wanted to play with or knew from other bands to do a session to record some of these songs anyways. I'm 27 years old. I've just turned 27 a week and a half before this. I think he came to see us on my 27th birthday that first time. And I've been working a long time, and I'm tired of landscaping, and I'm kind of starting to feel like, wow, I'm such a smart guy, went to college, life's sure going nowhere. So I had a friend whose dad was a lawyer, and I asked him if he could find anyone who was a lawyer, and literally it was like a friend of his knew a guy who knew another guy who had a law office in San Francisco that had an office down in LA, and that guy did this sort of thing. So through 5 guys, I call the guy, and he doesn't do it, but he gives me another guy who's the music guy. So then I call that guy, and I explained to him how I got hooked up with him, and he's like, yeah. Send me a tape, So I sent him a tape. And at this point, we've had 3 different recording sessions with 3 different versions of the band. We've got about 15 songs. So I sent him the tape. A rube, 15 song cassette. Literally 2 days later, it's 6 o'clock in the afternoon, my phone rings, and hey, is this Adam? Yeah, I love the tape, it's amazing, I like every song, I'm only halfway through so far, but every song is good, I really want to represent you guys, and oh, I'm sorry, this is Alan Leonard, the lawyer you called the other day, I'm going to finish the tape, and I'm going to call you in the morning, is that okay? I said, sure. This guy's like Tom Petty's lawyer, he's Warner Brothers Music's lawyer, he's a big music lawyer. In the morning he calls back and he says, look, I listen to everything, you guys are fantastic, I love this. You're going to be the biggest thing ever, I want to sign you, And I thought, you know what, I got a chance to go do my own thing, and me and Dave are really on the same page in a lot of ways. And I know that I love playing with Charlie and Matt, and so I decided to go do it. And I remember leaving that day and going to Barney's Beanery, which is this place we'd always heard that U2 went to in LA, And it was right around the corner from my managers, or who would in the future be my managers, and thinking that was the hardest step, because just to get yourself out of that massive obscurity and get your chance. Everything after that chance is your fault. I'm going to get the chance. I was actually kind of wrong, because the graveyard for bands isn't unsigned bands. It's bands that are stuck on labels. Where we really got lucky was later on. So we wanted to make the record that way, and it's a knife fight for the next year. Because it's like lifting the band out of the kind of band it was and bodily moving it to this other idea, and there's clawing and scratching and getting everyone just to get away from the whole idea, because we've all been these little bands. We've gone to studios, we've had a day or 2 days to lay tracks in small rooms, And so it had to be drum space, and nobody knows how to do it the other way. We don't know how to play together that way. You're not used to listening as intensely. And we got in this house, though, and we did it, and it was painful. And lots of people almost quit during the making of the record, And nobody did. It was kind of great. And the record came out just like what we wanted. I mean, the songs are good and they're honest and they're really emotional, but what makes the record is those 4 guys. To me, like, there's a million great songwriters who go out there and make records with people who don't grasp it, who are just playing those layers. But these guys got the emotionality of it. And you don't notice it on the record because the music's not showy. But the reason those songs come through the way they do is because I'm effortlessly able to sing over what those guys are doing. And it worked. It had to be modern rock, so they wanted the single to be Murder of One, because it had that Jesus Jones beat that was so big right then. But they wanted to cut it in half, and I refused to cut a song at the time, you know. And so we wanted Mr. Jones, which we didn't think was a big hit. We just thought it was a good introduction. So we compromised by putting out nothing. And they weren't working us to any radio because of that. So we went out on tour with Suede and the Cranberries, figuring that's going to get us alternative music. All the radio stations will be there because they're playing that music, and they'll see us, and we just got to be great every night. 5, 6 songs a night, that's all we had. And we went out on stage every night, and we started deconstructing around here and doing an 8-minute song, or Breaking Rain came down in the middle every night, and all of a sudden it's like, all the radio programmers, we're going through a town, and they're adding it. But this is like September, you know, and we go all the way through to Christmas. We don't even make a video, figuring what's empty gonna, they're not gonna play it. We'll wait until they're begging for it, you know. And at this point, then we go out on the road with Cracker, and Cracker's blowing up right then, and they're completely into us going on and doing encores after our sets. And we make a video and we give it to them over Christmas when the whole business is closed down, figuring there's no charts, there's no business, but people watch TV, people listen to the radio. Put it on 120 minutes right then. It's not that it doesn't exist. So we did it that way. So there'd be no hype around it. It just would be there. And then when we came back after Christmas, we went to New York and we played Saturday Night Live. Another huge fight. We are such prigs about what we will and won't do. And we just fought with everybody back then over everything. The whole week of Saturday Night Live, fighting with my managers because I didn't want to play Top of the Pops, because you have to lip sync, and I refused to do it, and it was a huge fight that whole week. And I actually think our record company in England was so angry they tanked the record, and have never really worked us again because of that. We've never been on the radio in England really, but we played Saturday Night Live. The video hit over Christmas, and at that point, you have to understand, we were on Saturday Night Live, but we weren't in the top 200. The record hadn't even entered the top 200 in Billboard. They just liked us. I mean, they'd seen us live. And Gary was there, along with John Sykes, who's the head of VH1 now, but was our publisher then. And they browbeat these people from Saturday Night Live. We were getting such a good reaction opening for Cracker at Irving Plaza, and they were just browbeating them about how Letterman was offering us a show. And remember, they were talking on either side of this girl from Saturday Night Live and saying, "You remember when Saturday Night Live used to break bands? Those days are gone. Remember when it used to be a good show? Too bad it's not anymore." And they were just doing this game with her. And after the show, Gary told me, you know, "You're going to get a phone call on Monday. You're going to get an offer." And we did. You know, and we ended up, after that, it jumped 40 spots a week starting in mid-January, and in 5 weeks by the middle of February. So at this point, it's like been 5 or 6 months for us. We went all the way from 210 to 4. It took about, 5 or 6 weeks, whatever. It was 40 spots a week. So even though we were at the top of the charts, we didn't really grasp what was happening other than seeing it on paper, because the mania wasn't over here, And we came to Europe and toured. And right before we left, I agreed to do the cover of Rolling Stone. And I was kind of beginning to think it was a bad idea. And I didn't really want to do it, but I thought, what kind of an idiot turns down the cover of Rolling Stone? And then I got over here and we landed in Paris after about half a month of it, halfway through this press tour. And we're supposed to meet David Wild in Paris. And we land off the plane and the Geffen woman says, "There's a weird rumor that Kurt Cobain died this morning, or last night in Seattle." And I mean, Kurt and I were Gary's little brothers. I was probably the one person in Paris right then who knew exactly who to call to find out. So I called the house and, sure enough, it had happened. And so it was really weird. It's like, I'm doing this interview for the cover of Rolling Stone, which I'm really unsure of. We're blowing up. I can see it on paper, but I'm not really experiencing it. And Kurt dies. It was really strange. It's a little overwhelming right then. And when we got back to America, we were the Beatles. I really freaked out and had kind of I mean, I was always kind of crazy, you know. I wasn't the most well-balanced guy ever, and that didn't help much. I'm glad I wasn't doing drugs anymore right then, because that would have really been bad news. But as it was, I went off the deep end anyways. And it took me a while to get back from that, but, you know, it's like huge changes in your life. You have to learn to adjust to them. I handled that one really badly, but I don't know that anyone would have handled it well. Anyone like me, you know, I was a little crazy, you know. It takes a lot of medication to get me through a day, you know. And it's a little much for me. Now, it's different, you know, I have time to adjust. You know, I'm an adult, I can cope with things. I like my life, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Everyone thought I was a dick for complaining about being successful. It happens to everyone, and I knew it was happening to me at the time. I mean, I've been a music fan for long enough to know that the hugely successful lead album leads into a second album where you write about your success and complain about it, and people hate you. And I knew that, but I had a nervous breakdown. It was my life. People lied about me in press. I mean, we got like 98% good reviews, but there were some that weren't. People lied about me in the press. People said things that weren't true. People acted like insane people around me. I wasn't a human being anymore. I had to move away from my boyhood home because people camped out on my lawn, and because I couldn't go out without it being an issue. You know, I couldn't go to a club. I couldn't see bands anymore like I had been used to doing every day, because the club's full of people who went to see the bands. I always had some kind of thing to say, some kind of attitude. And that was my life. And I'm not a songwriter who writes fiction. I mean, I write about my life. And I thought about it as I was getting into the middle of it, before we started making the record. And I could see what these songs were forming up to be. So we made the album. And it's an album about recovery. It's about being a satellite, being up in the sky, and about coming crashing down to the ground. And it's about the ways in which you get back on your feet from that. It's about an album about surviving, not resignation, or not just total despair. But, you know, people are so stupid sometimes. They only want, they could see their plot line in front of them, and they wrote about that. And I knew it was going to happen. It didn't make me happy. You know, hopefully you're a smart enough person to find people that are worth talking to and worth caring about and worth expressing yourself, and hopefully as a musician, those same kinds of people find you. And that's the best you can hope for, and on that level, I've been pretty lucky, you know. I got good friends, I make great music, and I ain't washing dishes anymore, except in my house. We expect more of each other this year than we did last year, you know what I mean? The demands are higher. And if someone made progress, see, because somebody makes progress every year, and somebody doesn't. And if you're the one who didn't make progress, it's not going to be a good day for you, because we're not going to be nice about it. I mean, these guys in this band are my friends, and I'm their friend. But we're not fucking around. I mean, we have high expectations of each other. And if you spent your year perfecting your art and someone else didn't come to the party, then you're going to have to take their head off until they do. And the producer's going to do it too. And it happens every record. It's nothing new. I don't get it done to me much, but I do it to myself probably worse than anyone would. But like, that's part of being in our band, you know. And we were trying to do something entirely different on this album because, like I said, on the first album, we were so new to being it. We played quietly to learn to play together. On the second album, we were a rock band, but we still had to learn to play together in a studio loud and fast. You know, we were able to do it, but it was still, you know, about playing together. Well, I mean, we can do that now. That's not a worry. Now, we wanted to do something different. We wanted to capture something that we hadn't captured before. We wanted to capture, like, the moments of inspiration. Not you rehearsed and getting good at something and getting organic feels that are good. But we wanted to catch you the first time you thought of an idea and fumbled your way through it. You know, we wanted to catch, not bad playing, but genius at its moment of inception, you know, which might be clumsy, but inspired. You know, it's not about playing live, it's not about playing separately, but it's some combination of the two that makes everything work on this desert life. It makes it sound, I think it sounds effortless because it's everybody's first ideas. It sounds like it was just whatever anybody played was okay. But it wasn't. It was just like you had to be inspired. If it wasn't inspired, we didn't use it at all. It was some first time through an idea, but it might be your 20th idea. You know, and sonically I wanted to try and experiment a lot, and I figured the more we've played something, the less we'll experiment. The better you get at it, the less panicked you will be, and so the less you'll be looking for, new sounds. You'll already have your sounds, and you'll be good at them. I thought, yes, I don't want them to be good at them. I want to hear it weird and freakish and like demo-y sounding. And we just started throwing things at each other, and taking chunks from somebody's 4-track and chunks from somebody else's, and ideas for sounds, and yelling at each other about like, why can't you come with fucking, that's not original at all. Stop playing it to get better. Come up with something like it's not jagged. Come up with something that shocks me at that moment. Come up with something that sticks out in the song, pokes me, and we did it. I'm not the complete wacko I was when we made our first album. I mean, I've got a little bit more of a life than I did, but there's a ways to go there. I like to learn to live with myself.